Somebody stole my tractor. Stick around for this episode of Suits and Boots Legal Talk. We're going to talk about it. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Suits and Boots Legal Talk. I'm Luke Martin, one of the partners at Benbow, Davidson & Martin. This is Kolin Funk, one of our associates there, and we thank you guys for joining us. Kolin, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. I may be doing a little better than you given the circumstances, but no, I'm doing good.
No kidding. So, last week, we're recording this on May 30th, and last week, somebody stole my tractor and a trailer from our farm. So I told my wife, my wife and I were talking about it, and she said, well, you know, you've talked about how much you love your tractor on the podcast. Maybe somebody that really hates you has listened to your podcast and went and stole your tractor just because you talk about how much you love it.
Jealousy.
I don't know, man. I don't know. But I've told you guys on here that I don't do golf and all that stuff. I don't have a gym membership and that kind of thing. But I do have my tractor, the little farm there up in Hidnight, and we love it. And it's kind of my way of getting away. So somebody just
up and stole your hobby.
Turn my world upside down here. So, but we want to talk about this just a little bit because it's so interesting. We were talking before the cameras came on about how I've gone from being the attorney who helps victims to kind of the victim here.
Yeah.
And it's so I'm getting to see both sides of that equation. Good perspective here. Yeah. So, one of the ladies in the office wanted us to make sure to talk about the penalties for stealing a tractor, just in case someone was out there watching that may have acquired a new tractor. Yeah. So it is a felony.
It's coming. So be sure to listen for that.
It is a felony. So just so you know, if you stole my tractor and you're watching, hey,
it's not too late to just bring it on back. So.
Well, you're probably still going to get charged. So hey. Not legal advice, though, right?
Not legal advice.
I mean, this is the ultimate conflict. I mean, we are conflicted out of this case.
That's right.
If you get caught for stealing my tractor, don't call our law firm to represent you because it's not going to go well. No. So let's get that out there right now. So, but if as one of the things we want to talk about is I put this out on Facebook. I just put it out on my personal page that someone had stolen my tractor. I put a little picture of the tractor there. And if you see it, let the authorities know. Alexander County Sheriff's Office is on it. And they've been super helpful. So thanks to Chad and all the deputies over there. They've been really, really good. But I put this out on Facebook and the post has been shared like 270 some times. And I love you guys and I really appreciate all the support, all the phone calls that I've gotten. And man, especially in our rural community. Yeah. When a tractor gets stolen, people are like, wait a minute, what in the world?
That could just as easily have happened to me.
Yeah, because all my neighbors have tractors. Yeah. That we're just out there in the middle of nowhere. And you don't think about being out in the middle of nowhere and something like that
having to worry
happen.
about something like that. Yeah.
I maybe shouldn't say this because, hello, this is a tip for everybody. But my whole life, everywhere, all the farms I've ever been on, the tractors have the keys in them. They're just sitting there because the farmers are in and out on their tractor and off the tractor. They don't have time to put the key in their pocket and figure out, okay, which key does this tractor take and all that. Yeah. So they've always just... And I think a lot of that's going to change. And I know for our farm, we're not going to leave the keys and stuff anymore. I mean,
why would you?
Fool me once kind of thing, you know, that kind of thing. But you guys have been so supportive and so helpful. And for all the people who have shared it and given advice, and I was laughing just a little bit because so many people have texted and said, hey man, did you have a GPS tracker on your tractor? Or did you have cameras on your farm? Or, all these really great ideas that would be a really good thing to do that I did not do. So maybe if you're watching this, maybe that could be some advice for you.
This is your wake-up call.
AirTags, I hear, are pretty cheap. Yeah, Apple AirTags. I don't have an Apple phone, so I don't know how that would work for me. But I talked to a friend of mine who has a construction company, and he has these little GPS trackers that he puts on his equipment. Yeah. I think he pays like $100 a year for the service.
Like Tile, I think, is one of those companies that has it.
It's like T-I-L-E?
T-I-L-E Tile, and it's like it's like a thing I think you can just put on your keychain and it goes with it. So this isn't an advertisement, but hey, that may work for you here.
Maybe so. Either way, all these are really great ideas that I did not do, and maybe next time. So here's what happened. I was, Friday morning, I was on my way to Hickory. I had a meeting in Hickory with a company that we represent up there, and my wife calls, and she says, hey, have you got the tractor somewhere? And I said,
Yeah, I'm driving into the meeting here.
Yeah. I'm driving it down Interstate 40, heading to Hickory. Why? No. I said, no, I don't. And she said, well, your mom just called and said it's not in the shed. And I was like, I said, and Dad doesn't have it? She said, no. So I get off the phone. I call my dad, I guess. I called my dad and I said, hey, you don't know where the tractor is? He said, no. So I'm going through my mind of like, okay, has anybody called me to borrow the tractor? And there's nobody. And I knew, okay, Monday I was at the farm and I saw it. I know it was there Monday. My mom said she came in Thursday evening and noticed that it wasn't sitting in the shed where it normally sits. But she thought, Luke's got it out doing something with it. So Friday morning when her and my wife were talking, they figured out, hey, something might be a little fishy here.
Yeah. And
so I turned around, got off the interstate, turned around, stopped and called my insurance guy first.
Yeah.
Because I figure he's probably the most important one in this circumstance. And then called the sheriff's office, and deputy said, I'm on my way. So I went back home and met with them, and they were just so helpful. So, yeah, it seems like my dad had a trailer there. So at first I'm talking to my dad on the phone on my way back to the house, and he's like, well, I can see they must have had a trailer because it looks like they pulled out on the road here. And the back of the trailer scraped the grass as they pulled out onto the road and left a little divot in the grass. And you could see they turned to the right out of our yard. And he said, so they must have had a trailer. And then he goes, oh, they had my trailer.
They got my trailer here.
So the tractor and the trailer were parked right side by side beside each other. So apparently they backed up to the trailer, hooked up to the trailer, and at some point loaded the tractor on the trailer and stole my dad's trailer and my tractor. It's like, so if you see a really good buy in a John Deere 4044R with a loader, and the bucket on my tractor is bent all to pieces because I've used it to push trees over with and things like that, and I've abused it really. So, you get an abused tractor. But it's and a black PJ 16-foot trailer. If you see any of those things, just beware. And we're going to talk about what to do in our podcast here about if you're thinking about buying a used piece of equipment, there's some things you probably should do to protect yourself. So we're going to talk about that too. But so Dad's trailer's gone, my tractor's gone. It's been just a really kind of a circus around my house lately.
Yeah, well, you never really expect that kind of thing to happen to you. I mean, I guess the assailants pulled up to a situation where they thought, this looks too good to be true here.
I know, right? I don't know. I'm wondering, so my dad is he's self-employed. He does heating and air repair stuff and a little bit of work. He's semi-retired. But still has a work van and goes out and does jobs. And Mom stays with she keeps my children quite a bit, and excuse me, and helps Dad. So they're in and out throughout the day. It's not like nobody's home.
Yeah.
Obviously they sleep at night. So
that could have been it. Yeah.
They could have come in the night. Maybe they watched the house and came during the day.
That's what it's. I can't imagine they would just be dumb enough. Again, criminals are maybe not the smartest people, but it's hard to believe someone would be just dumb enough to see something and go, now's the time. I'm going to grab that. So,
even if you saw my dad pull out of the driveway, it's like, how do you know he's not just running up the road?
Yeah.
Right. But
or someone's in the house. I mean, there's a whole laundry list of things that, I feel like the rational non-criminal would say that would never work.
Yeah. Right. But, so here's something. So some of some of my rural listeners and watchers will get this. Some of the folks who've never been around a farm or tractors may not. But one of the
you're telling me this is getting ready to go right over my head here.
Possibly, but maybe not. We'll see. So one of the crazy things about this whole scenario is the tractor was sitting in the shed there at the farm, and it had a box blade hooked to the back of it. You know what a box blade is?
Yeah, right over the head.
Yeah. Okay. So a box blade. Do you know what a 3-point hitch is on a tractor?
Yeah, it's got three
points that hook to an implement of whatever kind. So there's the 2 lift arms that will lift whatever you've got hooked to the back, whether it's a plow or a disc, or in this case, it was a box blade. And a box blade is just what a scrape blade looks like.
like a grading blade kind of thing. Yeah.
So a box blade is just a scrape blade, except it has kind of a box around it. So it's 3 sides, and it's made to gather material, like whether it's gravel or dirt or whatever. So you scrape that material up, and you can move it because it contains it in that box. It doesn't spill out the sides. So you can move material with that box blade. It's not very big. I would say probably the size of this table that's right here in front of us. It's not very big. And the tractor can pick it up, and you can move the tractor around, and it's like it's not even attached to it. So it's not some big heavy piece of equipment. It's just just part of the tractor. And the tractor will literally lift it way off the ground where it's not in the way of anything. It's just there.
Okay.
So the box blade is hooked to my tractor sitting in the shed. They unhooked the box blade before they stole the tractor. Now it's not a hard thing to do, because it's 3 pins and it's pretty much unhooked. But they took the time to unhook it. And you folks who know about tractors, all you have to do with anything hooked to the back is there's a lever that you just pull that lever and it picks it up and you just drive. I mean, it's literally
no incentive for them to take it off.
Yeah, they just left.
It's like at that point, why not just take the whole? Why take the time to unhook a component and leave that behind?
You figure it out.
They were making a comment about your thing there. They say, we don't want this thing.
It's brand new.
You're going to find your bucket on the side of the road too. They say, wow, the thing is beat.
Yeah, I'll probably that piece of junk bucket.
Never mind. For insurance purposes, the bucket is perfect. It's flawless.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, so speaking of insurance, so insurance has been super helpful. I've got my insurance through Farm Bureau, North Carolina Farm Bureau, and this is not an endorsement, not advice or anything else, but they have been just really good to work with so far. Met with the adjuster yesterday, so they're going to take care of the tractor. That's not been a problem at all so far. But only because, and this is something that we wanted to make sure you guys were aware of, they're going to take care of the tractor through my homeowner's insurance, but only because I use the tractor for residential purposes. So we use it to maintain our property. Yeah. So you guys, I talk about having a farm, and we do. We've got several acres there, but we don't actually farm it. So we lease the fields to a farmer who comes and cuts the hay.
Yeah.
I use the tractor. I use it to plant sunflowers with. I love to put out some sunflower crops, and just they're on either side of our driveway, so you just kind of drive through them. Yeah. They're beautiful. We use it to bush hog or cut, just around the edges of the fields and fence lines and things like that. If a tree falls, we clean it up, those kind of things.
Homesteading kind of stuff.
Yeah, we don't use it we don't take it and make money with it. We don't use it as a commercial piece of equipment. So because it was used for the maintenance of the property, then my homeowner's insurance is gonna take care of it. Okay. If it were a commercial piece of equipment, so if I'm taking this thing out and making money with it,
farming and selling your crops at a farmer's market, even something as simple as that.
Maybe even something as simple as that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't get,
it's iffy. It's definitely closer.
Yeah. But if I'm taking this thing to the neighbor's house and grading their driveway and charging thousands of dollars, or hauling it, around and doing work with it that I'm billing for, now we got a problem.
We're getting closer to not being under the homeowner's insurance.
So if you've got a tractor or skid loader or any kind of equipment like that, and you're using it to make money with or make a profit, check with your insurance people and make sure you're covered. So even if you're not, so let's say you're like me and you've just got a tractor that you're using to maintain your property, still call your insurance people and say, hey, is this covered?
Yeah.
Because what I read online, and this is just a little bit of the research I was doing before I had heard from my insurance company to think, okay, is this thing going to be covered?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm the attorney. I should know, right?
But
I never even thought. I never even thought about it.
Yeah.
So I'm doing research online, and one of the things I found online, and it could be a different state or whatever, but is that maybe some insurance companies have horsepower limits. So my tractor was a 44 horsepower. Which in my case it was covered, but maybe your insurance policy only covers up to a 30 horsepower tractor or something like that. So check with your insurance, make sure there's not anything weird going on.
And I figure, it who knows, it may be a little bit more expensive, but in a case like this, you'd rather pay the money in your premiums on the front end and, get your tractor replaced or have it covered than run the risk of being out of luck if this kind of thing happens to you.
But definitely if you're using your equipment in a commercial context, make sure you talk to your insurance people, because it's not going to be covered under your homeowners, almost guaranteed. Now, the trailer's a different story. I didn't realize this. So, in all this, I'm learning all this in the last couple of days.
Time.
So, you guys are getting it as I'm learning it as well. So, the trailer is covered under your auto owner's policy typically. So, you need to have that trailer listed. I've always thought, and I've always been told, that the trailer's covered by the vehicle that's pulling it. So, that's if it's going down the road. But if it's sitting on your property, not hooked to a vehicle, it may not be covered by your homeowners.
It's just a standalone thing. It's got a title, and I guess that's what they're looking for here.
It's got to be listed on your insurance.
Yeah.
So if you've got a trailer like my dad's, that 16-foot trailer, make sure that it's listed on your insurance.
So
policy.
really, I mean, it's like if you have like a farm use trailer, you probably need to insure that if you're worried about this kind of situation here.
And maybe that wouldn't be the case if it was like a garden trailer or something that you don't pull on the road and, it's just meant for the use, like a hay wagon or something like that. Maybe then it doesn't matter. But either way, check with your
long
insurance
story short,
people.
call your insurance company
Absolutely, and make sure that's covered. Now, the last thing that we want to talk about today, and probably I think one of the more beneficial, because I know for me and for a lot of the folks that are in my community, we buy and sell used equipment all the time. And so in this case, the thought is like, wow, man, this tractor is out there somewhere, and most likely the folks who stole it, maybe they're going to break it down and sell it for parts.
Yeah.
If they do that, then they might get away with it. But I would think the more likely scenario is they're going to try to sell the whole tractor.
Yeah.
And somebody's going to buy it. And unfortunately, that tractor is stolen. And so it's probably, after me and the insurance get finished up, it's probably no longer my property. Now it's going to be the insurance company's property.
For them to figure out with the poor second buyer, or I guess the first buyer who's come along, not being any the wiser of what's happened.
Yeah. So if you're thinking about buying a used 4-wheeler, I can think 4-wheelers that seem to be, that's got to be a common thing to steal. Side-by-side tractor, lawnmower, any of that stuff. If you're thinking about buying anything like that, those all have serial numbers on them. And so one of the things I've reached out to the Highway Patrol, the Sheriff's Office, and talked to these folks like, hey, what do we need to do to make sure, as I'm shopping for a replacement tractor, how do I make sure the replacement tractor I'm buying isn't stolen from somebody? And so there's a few things that you need to do. So if you're looking at a used piece of equipment, get the serial number off of that thing. And, if you're using Facebook Marketplace, before you even go look at it, just text them and say, hey, I'd like to get the serial number. Call the local sheriff's office. And it really doesn't matter where. So call the sheriff's office. If you're in Alexander, Iredell County, if you're in Georgia, Florida, it doesn't matter. Call the sheriff's office and say, hey, thinking about buying this piece of equipment. Here's the serial number. Can you tell me if there's any problems? Yeah. And they run it through this system that's called NCIC, which is the National Crime Information Center. And if there are if it's been stolen, like the serial number for my tractor is in that system. So if you see a tractor like mine and you think, I wonder if this could be Luke's tractor, get the serial number off of it, call the sheriff's office.
And I imagine that would work with electronics and stuff too. Like
you would think so.
If it's been reported stolen and they gave them a serial number, you would think that, it's worth the call, I'm sure, just to check and see.
That's right.
Why not?
The problem I could see with electronics is I don't know the serial number on that phone.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you at all. If somebody steals it, I'm going to be like, yeah. But Verizon probably has it.
If it's going to be on your phone policy or your phone bill. Yeah, your phone bill.
So maybe.
It's worth a shot, I guess.
If you've got a laptop or something like that, maybe we have an IT company that services, so they probably have the serial number.
I imagine, and I think with if you were to hold on to the boxes, I'm sure it would be somewhere in there. I think you can go on your phone and in the settings, it'll tell you what the serial number is. So
that's probably true.
If you write it down, keep it in a safe place, just in case. Yeah. It wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, absolutely.
If they don't need it eventually, hey, at least you had it.
So call them. The other thing to do, this is a really neat thing. I'm sure that all manufacturers do this, but John Deere, I talked to my local dealer, James River, here in Statesville, North Carolina. Great guys to work with. I talked to them and said, hey, I actually called the guy who sold me the tractor, and I said, I got a real problem with that tractor you sold me. He said, "What's the matter?" I said, "Well, it's gone."
I don't have it anymore.
He said, "That does sound like a problem." But he said, "Get me the police report, and we'll mark the serial number in our system as stolen. And if they ever take that tractor to a dealership for service, or they ever go to the dealership to get parts or something like that, then it'll be flagged as stolen, and John Deere will immediately pick up the phone and call the sheriff.
Yeah.
And then, bam, it's taken care of."
Yeah.
Now, the stinky thing about that is the person who takes it to the dealership probably isn't going to be the person that stole it.
Yeah, you would think it wouldn't be the person who would be dumb enough to say, "Hey, I just came into this tractor here and need an oil change." That probably is not going to happen.
It's probably going to be a secondary buyer.
Yeah.
And man, that's why if you're thinking about buying a used piece of equipment, man, check that serial number.
Circles back to what
because it's going to be out of everybody's control except for Farm Bureau, and they're going to want that tractor.
Yeah.
So it's not like I can be like, well, you just keep it, or no, it's
that. Yeah, I don't know exactly what that process looks like, but it's not going to go well for your continued ownership of that tractor.
That's right. So if you are thinking about buying a used piece of equipment, if it's a side-by-side, call the manufacturer. Call the local dealership that deals with that brand of equipment, whether it's John Deere, Kubota, Polaris, Honda, whatever you're thinking about buying. Call the dealer and say, "Hey, I'm thinking about buying this tractor. Here's the serial number. What can you tell me about it?" And who knows, you might get some other good information about it. They might be like, "Oh, let me tell you, you don't want that piece of junk."
Well, if you do, and if you do, let us know. Drop it in the comments so other people can see when they see this.
Absolutely.
And we're this kind of thing we deal with, from time to time, and we're happy to know too. So let us know.
Yeah. And if maybe you've had something stolen and would like, hey, everybody, keep your eyes out for it. Put it in the comments. This podcast goes out on Facebook, on YouTube, everywhere you can get podcasts. So just subscribe, keep up with what's going on, and we'll try to keep content like this coming. This is the first one that we've ever done with this is a current event that just happened.
Yeah.
And we want to see how you guys like this. So let us know, and we might do more kind of stuff like this.
That's right.
So thanks for watching, guys, and keep your eyes out for my tractor.
That reminds me, actually, if anybody's looking to buy a tractor, I just came into a new one here. So, jokes. I'm kidding.
We better go.
The information contained in this video and audio recording is general in nature and should not be relied upon in making legal decisions. Every situation is different, and you should consult with your attorney before making any legal decisions.